Nangafale, welcome to the panel. We almost forgot about you. We know your dress is also matching this seat of the color, so it would have been difficult to see you. Anyway, what are some of the biggest barriers preventing young people in developing countries from pursuing careers in, STEM and space exploration, given your experience?
Oh, you're going to start,
Yeah, straight to the discussion.
All right, awesome. Well, first of all, I'm really excited to be here and really thankful for the opportunity to engage with everybody. And as it was mentioned, I'm here representing the National Society of Black Engineers Aerospace Special Interest Group. And one of the major things that we do in NSBE is that the mission is really to look at how are we helping produce culturally responsible Black engineers that positively impact the community. And I love the slogan for this conference on societal benefits. And so when we talk about some of the barriers in developing countries, that also flows to barriers in just communities that lack access. That happens in the US as well. So the barriers that we've dealt with are in terms of the same things that we've talked about here, whether it's connectivity, it's also the difference in education. Really, one of the major things we've talked about, sometimes studying aerospace, or this industry can be expensive. When you're looking at the labs, different materials that you have to have access to, role models, those are some of the major barriers that we've heard our speakers highlight, and those are some of the same things that we see when we're working on different projects within NSBE.
Thank you very much, Ananga. I will come to Dr. Engineer Mongera. How can we collaborate between, educational institutions, technology-based companies, and, private entities such as yourself to foster career mentorship and opportunities for young people in Kenya and other developing countries?
Thank you very much, Jack. So I think the presence of your question is perfect because collaboration is what is needed. Let me speak of Kenya. We have a challenge in industry of pipeline in terms of skills, and I think that's something that everyone in this room has experienced. I've had the experience of being in government, academia, and public sector, and now NGO, and a lot of the times what we train our young people on, there is a gap between what the industry needs and what we are bringing out to as educators, or rather as educators training young people. So there's definitely a need for strong collaboration. And that collaboration can take many forms. One of them is that from the academic side, a lot of academic institutions need to take a more active role in approaching industry, public sector, even the development space and so on. There's a lot of education training that is done sort of from a inward-facing environment. This is what we want to train young people rather than this is what young people need to be trained for as the future workforce. On the other side, also public sector and private sector need to take a stronger interest in the education space. What I mean about that is that how programs are developed, how they grow, they tend to grow with industry in particular, looking at it like, finish with university, then we shall take you on in our pipeline. Whereas industry should really be thinking of, if we want more people, for example, more developers, what does the training space in Kenya look like for computer science, for ICT, and so on? If it's inadequate, then how do we need to plug in? How do we need to bring maybe some of the educators into our industry so that they see what is missing? And just allow me to say that one last thing, that we also need a very strong push towards career guidance for young people. What I mean by that is, if you look at our education system, even as it is evolving, and Daktari, I'm sure you agree, it is very much a grade-based system. It is about what you score so that COOPs can select you for your course. The challenge with that is, if you're focused on what you score, you're going to take the courses that are the easiest to score. I mean, anyone would in that scenario. But if you start from a young age and say that I actually want to do this career. I want to be an aerospace engineer. What does that take? What do I need to focus on? Maths and physics and so on and so forth. So then you're changing more from scoring very highly to actually guiding young people that these are the careers that are out there. This is what it entails. This is what the job market looks like once you graduate, and this is where you're likely to grow to. Then young people then are making more informed decisions on how their life will pan out rather than trying to score the highest. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mongera. Kindly prepare your questions. I will not ask again. I'll just point straight to you to give me a question. Everybody prepare. This next question, I will direct it to Dr. Tom Okaya. Kenya has recently implemented or changed its education system to competence-based curriculum. I don't know. We've had this conversation before. So what are some of the opportunities and what are some of the challenges that, this system presents to STEM uptake amongst students? In brief, a minute or two.
Thank you very much. Our biggest challenge currently in the change of the education sector is whether the teachers have the capacity to nurture the young generation to be able to fit into the new curriculum. You are aware that we are transiting from the knowledge-based curriculum to the core competency-based curriculum. And our curriculum design framework is seeking to have 3 pathways at the senior school. If you look at the basic curriculum framework, we have the early learning, we have the middle learning, then we have the senior school. And one of the pathway is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But our teachers might not be fully prepared in terms of being able to skill or to empower the learners to be able to communicate effectively, to think imaginatively and critically. When you talk about the 7 core competencies, moving from rote learning to the competency-based is quite a challenge. And as Teacher Service Commission, we are thinking about the issue of quality of teaching and the relevance and the right pedagogical approaches that teachers need to apply in school. Because now teachers must now think about, we need to move from giving out content to inspiring learners to come out, to do problem solving, to create things, to design. That is a challenge at the moment.
Thank you very much. Something else I heard is that, now with CBC, we're gonna have more people, more students going into sports and the easy things, the art, the dancing, all those things, because it's easier to do that and they can make a lot of money from that. And then be like, what? It's never that serious about STEM. So to the audience, especially the teachers and the educators that we have, do you think you don't have enough skills, to just guide and mentor these students? Anybody? This is your conference. Okay, a microphone here, please. Technical. Raise your hand so that. And students, do you think that, your teachers are not up to the task of guiding you in STEM? Think about it.
Okay, thank you very much. As an educator or as a teacher who has had the chance to teach the 2 curricula, both national curriculum and the national curriculum, the competence is there amongst the teacher, but one major setback is the curriculum itself. Our national curriculum is so much set in a manner that is exam-based, memory-based, very little hands-on. But with teams like Young Scientist Kenya, actually has played a role a lot in developing the interest in the hands-on. And just calls other stakeholders, like Avanti and others, just to organize much more expos for learners, and all the solutions will be found. So our able employer the competence is there. But again, if you look at the CBC currently as constituted and you look at the content of the CBC, then if you look at technology vision 2045, the CBC will not actually spur this country to there. So if we can actually adopt a more progressive way of reviewing our curriculum syllabuses on maybe annual basis or biannual basis will be very key, because if you look at the national curriculum, international curriculum, they review their syllabus almost on an annual basis. Like currently, during the presentation of St. Atlantis, they speak of astrophysics and innovation in astrophysics. If you look at the national curriculum, the whole high school until a child reaches 18 years has never heard the concept of astrophysics. Another child in the national curriculum starts learning astrophysics at 14 years old. So the interest already brings a barrier in between. So if that barrier can be bridged using the progressive curriculum review, will be much better. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Wow, that's amazing. So, Mary, our educator is talking about, bridging the digital divide to ensure equitable access to quality STEM, not just in urban areas, but, every other place. And you've been at the forefront of doing this. So, number one, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered, and when are we going to cover the whole country or the whole of the ASALs with your technology? And by the way, are we also able to have some internet outside here? Because I think we need another node here for the GNZs to tweet this event. All right, take that, please.
Thank you very much. Yes, we're able to have internet connectivity provided here. We just need to engage with the edge guys to find out whether they're okay with us having a satellite link on their roof, or whether that remains a challenge, because in some of these urban areas, the discussion is some of them do not want any satellite link on top of their roof for aesthetics purposes, but that is a conversation, of course, that we can have separately. So yes, in terms of the challenges that we encountered based on our flagship project, one, of course, had to do with resources, because I think someone had also, she had mentioned that access to some of these resources can be quite a costly affair. Look at a situation where you are trying to equip a school with the 25 computers, put in a screen or a projector in place. That cost can be very, very prohibitive. One way of trying to circumvent this, of course, Dr. had also mentioned here, is in terms of collaboration. So collaborating with some of the development agencies. I mean, we have the likes of the World Bank, we have the likes of FCDO, we have the likes of UNICEF, who are very vested and interested in providing meaningful education or connectivity to the children. So it then becomes a collaborative effort between, for instance, the Ministry of Education, the private sector, and a development partner. So resources remains a challenge, and that is one way of trying to circumvent this. Of course, I talked about the gender stereotyping and even some of the community challenges that exist there. So in addition to providing connectivity or running an EdTech program, you then have to engage the community. I'd give some of the examples, might seem a bit trivial, but has a huge impact. Some of the schools that we were providing connectivity to, for instance, did not have any reliable grid power. So what this meant is that we had to put in a solar system in place. So you have solar panels that are actually installed on the roofs. If you do not engage the community, those solar panels will be stolen at night while you are away. Some of them will not allow you access because they are wondering, what is this that you're coming to do in our school, what is this that you're exposing our children to? So of course we had to work with the county officials from the Ministry of Education, go with them into the schools, and then bring the community around to let them know that what we are doing is exposing your children to the internet. The computer lab belongs now to the community. These solar panels belong to the community because by extension, this is a school that your children will be coming to. And just by bringing in the community on board, at night when Mary, maybe, and Tim are back to Nairobi, it is the community members themselves who are actually now protecting against maybe theft and such like things. So those are some of the barriers that exist. Ordinarily, you didn't see them at a glance, but they actually have quite a bit of an impact in terms of providing access to these hard-to-reach schools.
Thank you very much for that. So awareness is very important in this. Do we have another one before we... Am I seeing a hand somewhere? Ah, yes, right here in front.
Thank you. My name is Kano Muhu from the Kenya Air Force. I think I'd like to direct my question to Dr. from the Ministry of Education. It's about the STEM. The uptake of STEM across the systems that that we have, from the CPE that we had. I think we had KPE earlier, isn't it? Then CPE, then 844, and now the CBC. You could be having some statistics to show whether this country is now going towards adopting STEM more than before. Maybe you'll give us those statistics if you have, whether we are in that direction of adopting STEM. The other question is it's about championing STEM. I remember there's a time around 2013, 2016, the Ministry of Defense and Research and Development, they were championing STEM, and they actually put a budget on innovation stimulus. And that innovation stimulus, there was issues to do with STEM, to support STEM in the schools that belong to the Ministry of Defense, especially the Moi Forces Academy, Moi Forces Girls, all those schools. I don't know whether the other ministries have such budgets to support STEM. Not only the ministries, also the other private sectors in the country. Maybe Dr. Mongera, maybe you can assist us. He could be knowing whether we have such support from the ministries, from the private sector too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colonel. So it looks like we have government around, so we need to, Dr. Tom, the budget has to be set aside for these things. You take the first question in a minute, just to know the statistics in summary.
Thank you very much. At the moment, data shows that less than 20% of the learners in the university pursue STEM-related courses. And the worrying trend is that even those who qualify to take STEM, when they reach the university, they tend to shift to other courses. And the reason has been most schools, because of lack of infrastructure, not lack, but inadequate infrastructure, have discouraged learners from doing physics, which is one of the key subjects that are required for people to pursue STEM-related careers. We also have another challenge that is contributing is we have a shortage of STEM teachers in the country. We are talking about 30,000 secondary schools in the country. You know, when I talk, I'm not talking about a small section. We are talking about the number of schools that we are, because the Ministry of Education focuses on equity, inclusivity. The issue is that every child must have access to that education, equality education. At the Teacher Service Commission now, we are moving on to continuity learning. There are so many learners that would want to pursue STEM, but for issues that are beyond the education sector, they are not able to continue learning. Therefore, they are forced to drop. When you talk about insecurity, when you talk about the floods now is coming in, they are actually excluded from that pipeline. So we are seeing there's serious concern on our side that we need to inspire more learners. And like he said correctly, that schools are supposed to choose the pathways, because that will also determine the number of students who will pursue the STEM-related careers. So if the schools decide they're not offering STEM, it has two implications. There's likely to be job loss for the teachers who are in STEM, because that school is now not offering STEM. There's also likely to be so many students who will have to incur extra costs to go and join other schools where they are offering STEM. So that is a decision that we're engaging the principals and the field officers on the ground to have a conversation on how they will choose the pathways, because we are only 1 year away from that choice. CBC is currently at grade 8. We are doing 9th grade. We are now 8th grade. And of course, at the moment we are in the middle school, and in the middle school, which is grade 4 to grade 9, our focus is to mentor, is to inspire, is to encourage. And that can only be possible if the players will provide opportunities for the learners to experience the STEM career. Because we expect the parents also to play a role in this. Choices of pathway has two ways. The parent is at the center of it is the parent. What do I want my child to do after this? And the child also has a role to make a decision as a person. What do I want to do as a person? I'm so good in physics and mathematics, I can get A, I can get B. But now the question is it that's what they want to do? And to be able to ask to change the percentage of learners who are pursuing STEM-related courses, we must provide them with experiences. We call them learning experiences. The curriculum at the moment, the CBC curriculum is no longer rigid. I think I wanted to correct something from the colleague. It's no longer rigid, it's flexible. We moved from rigidity to flexibility. That the teacher can now decide the learning experience that he thinks the learners can interact with and inspire them to take a particular pathway. So those are the issues that we are feeling that we need to bring on board our teachers, empower them. And I want to thank the Young Scientist Kenya and those who are engaging teachers in different levels, because we don't have a college for robotics. We don't have a college where teachers are taught robotics or AIE. These things, they get them when they get out in the profession. And they have to be exposed to these things and told how to work. Teachers are not foolish. They will pick them up and they'll take them back to their learners. And that will be able to inspire the learners to be able to pursue the career. So at the moment, our statistics are not very good at all. And they are very worrying indeed.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Tom,
you.
for that. You talked about awareness, and I know there's one person in the panel who's doing a lot of awareness. So, Mr. Kimani, how are you leveraging on technology, on like platforms, to make, this education accessible to learners? And then when do you plan on going outside Nairobi?
Thank you. Thank you very much for that question. I'd also want to, before I answer, touch on something that has just been mentioned about, I want to propose space as the backlight for STEM. Sometimes and it's one of the things we've experienced with Leo Sky, when we're talking about getting people interested in STEM subjects. Sometimes there needs to be an inspirational background, and space can be that background. In fact, we found that when we talk about the wonders of space, suddenly the child wants to solve those problems. They want to see, suddenly physics is not numbers. Suddenly the physics that we're talking about, no one wants to do physics. But when they experience space and they're told that star is 3.2 light years away, That means when you're seeing it, you're seeing something that happened 3.2 years ago. Suddenly their mind is like, okay, and there's a more interesting, there's a bigger interest in the science. So we want to propose that route where we use space as a means of framing the science and inspiring an interest in science. Now, when you ask about what we use to do these things, what technologies, also something that was mentioned here was about the teacher experience, the student experience. Students are impressionable, and that's why they're in school, because we want to impress things on their minds and into their lives. So there are certain experiences, and one that we have been able to use very extensively is a planetarium show, where they enter and they're exposed to the sky in a very unique way. And suddenly they look at the sky differently the next day. We also let them experience, when you talk about the things we use, let them look through a telescope. And start seeing things that they have never seen before in the night sky. With their naked eyes, that's a dark spot. But when they look through it to a telescope, they're seeing a galaxy. Or they're seeing a star. When you look through the telescope, they're seeing it's a planet. So when we talk about student experiences, these are some of the things we do. We're also moving into interactions with university students. And I think that was also mentioned over here when we talk how we catching these people, is that we go to the schools, the universities, and I think they're here today who has seen or engaged with the Leo Sky program from the universities, and they're here today. Please say something or put your hands up.
Hands up.
Hands up, let's see.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we go to them and we tell them this is an arena that where you're doing aeronautical engineering and you're wondering what to do with this. This is a place to do it. Okay, so those are the, I think, very brief examples. Thank you very much, Jack. I hope I've answered or tried to answer your question. But you asked, close, the last one. You asked when are we leaving Nairobi?
Going outside Nairobi, yeah.
Yeah, when are we going outside Nairobi? We have extended our programs outside Nairobi. Next month, we're in Samburu, and we have a program for about 8 schools over 5 days. So we are going outside Nairobi. We've gone to Tanzania, and I was glad to hear we have someone from Uganda, because we, as you said, we are Leo Sky Africa. So later the year, we are going to Uganda and then Rwanda as well. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kimani. Enanga Fale, as you also give your concluding remarks, what do you advice? You know, we have policymakers here, we have the private sector, everybody in this particular sector is here. What should we do? You know, just from your own words and experiences and how you see things.
So one of the major things that I've worked on through NSBE Aerospace SIG is really looking at how do we get people excited, kind of what you were mentioning, engaged in the industry through experiential learning. So we've done a number of projects across Kenya, Nigeria, Senegal, Rwanda, where we have really focused on experiential learning, whether it's teaching kids about CubeSats, Python, how to leverage that language. And so in regards to the educators, one of the things that we focus a lot on is looking at how can we partner with educators and augment what they have in the classroom. Because some of the different concerns about how can we change the curriculum are some of the same concerns and questions that come up in the US. And so I think this is where industry, people from the private sector, can look at volunteering their time to really support some of the stuff happening in the classroom and build out some of those those experiential learning programs. That's what I would say just from an education standpoint. In terms of inspiring the next generation, one of the major things that we've been really focusing on is also, especially for our work in Senegal with Salah, is looking at what are the resources unique to that area and how can we create STEM kits that are unique to that area that still expose students to space and also expose them to aviation, all the things underneath the realm of aerospace, but they are sustainable kits that they can quickly build from their Pacific region. We ran a project between New Jersey and actually here in Kenya, where we were teaching CubeSats. The models that we used in the one town were different than the models that we used in New Jersey, but the concepts were still delivered. So I think there's some very strategic things that can happen in terms of the delivery. Also, you know, when it comes to inspiring, competitions are amazing for that. That's one of the things that NSBE does a lot. Last year, we were here in partnership with another organization, the Futures Forum, and we helped do a challenge. It was an online challenge just to kind of think about different ideas and solve an engineering problem. We ended up running most of that challenge through WhatsApp because that's the technology that made sense for what we wanted to do, and everybody had access. So I think there's a lot of, there may be challenges with connectivity, but there's also things that we do have in looking at really leveraging that. And the last thing I would say is, I got this from one of the panels when one of the panelists highlighted that, hey, the vision of the sky is a key national treasure. That's how he categorized it. And when we look at role models, that's the biggest thing of getting people excited. One of the things that we've been talking about within the aerospace SIG is looking at partnership between engineers here across the continent, collaborating with engineers in the US, educators within the US collaborating with educators over here, because through that collaboration, we can build mentorship in that pipeline that really helps drive innovation and gets everybody excited.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for that. Kimani, your parting shot in like 30 seconds, what would you like to leave the audience with?
I believe that within the youth, from primary all the way to university, are the brains and the minds and the ideas that will drive this agenda of seeing Africans in space as soon as possible. So I believe that, so I really think outreach is extremely important because we need to catch them and then hope that they dedicate their lives, because that's basically what we want. We want them to give their lives to this cause, because people say they want to be a doctor, and that's giving your life to being a doctor. So we want them to give their lives to building this
Amen.
industry. Thank you.
Amen. Amen to that. Jason, before you give your concluding remarks, you came with something to the stage. Just take a minute to say what that is, and then give your concluding remarks. Then I'll come to you. What's happening? How many hands? But you didn't have questions before. Okay, then I think we'll take this panel to tea, all right? So that we continue the discussions as you know but I'll probably take one. Concise, succinct and straight to the point. All right, Jason.
Thank you so much. This is a Mekamon bot. It has 12 degrees of freedom. It can jump up to a height of...
Just hold it for them to see, and then say its name again.
Yeah,
slowly.
This is a Mekamon bot. It has 12 degrees of freedom, as you can see.
Transformers.
Yes, it can jump up to a height of 7 meters. And it can be, it was built for gaming, so you can play with this bot with another bot on your phone, using AR. Okay.
Can we try today?
Yes, maybe after the session.
Have you heard that? We'll make sure it jumps about 10 meters. I don't know what
yes.
for that. All right?
Yeah, so AfriBot Robotics is a research and integration company. We do focus on education and automation. So we started with automation, and one of the challenges we felt like there's a gap between the academia and the industry. And because we couldn't find even the right employees. So when we got to education to try fix the gap, we started with the private sector, the private schools, and our programs were running well. We helped them with affordable resources, that is robotic kits, and also helping training teachers. We got partners on board, NGOs and so on, and we managed to get into public schools. And I'm glad right now we are able to work with the refugee camps. Over the last 2 years, we've been hosting the African Championship of the World Robot Contest. Last year, 2023, we had 559 participants. And for the last 4 years, the theme has been about space exploration. So the theme for last year was interstellar exploration. And yes, we had 90% of the marks was on practical, and 10 was based on their knowledge of space. So again, last year, we didn't have PWD, persons with disability, but then we've been able to extend our partnership to Kilimanjaro, and this year we'll have also the blind do robotics. So when we started, we also used to complain a lot that, hey, the government is not doing this. But then when we got on the ground, we realized why what you see on textbook from the CBC is very, very simple. And maybe for the other side, you may feel like this is not enough. But then for the other side, if you see what Avanti is doing, they'll tell you that, yes, it's really, really important. So my parting shot is, we all need to give back. Every kid is a genius, and what we need to do is inspire them. If you're a parent, you need to expose your learner to STEM. Maybe their school cannot be able to get the best equipment for STEM, but at least you can find them a mentor. You can find them maybe a student, a university student taking engineering program to assist them. And also the government, we need to work together, the government, the non-profit, and everyone. We need to collaborate and leverage on our expertise and resources to make a change. So next month we'll be having a training for robotics and AI at Semaster for 100 teachers. So if you're a teacher and you want to get into robotics and AI, it's close to free. It's a 2-day program, so karibu sana. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Look at the person next to you and tell them every kid is a genius and you're one. Some are not kids, wow. All right, anyway. Dr. Tom Okaya, 30 seconds, parting shot.
Thank you very much. I think as a Teacher Service Commission, one of the things that we are desiring is that our teachers are empowered. And I want to challenge the industry. I think somebody asked a question here. I think it is major that the forces are doing something with the schools. And I think we want to encourage the players who are here. It is worth investing in teachers the way they are doing. It is also worth investing in parents so that the students can be, the teacher is with the students. And if they're empowered, they're able to engage the learners continually, because we talk about continuity. Because when you come for a day on an outreach activity, it's a 1 day off, you go, the excitement is high, after that they go back to their normal situations. If it is possible to empower the teachers, equip them with the right knowledge and skills, and let them do this thing with the learners. The last thing that I wanted to also talk about is there's need for you to create spaces for people to come and enjoy this thing. I'm talking about maker spaces. The learners may want, they may not go to, but a place they can come to your area or your office, and then they can do tinkling, they can try things, they can do things and learn. Not necessarily for a competition, but just to acquire. Because when we went out to talk to our learners, we realized they were saying that we don't have spaces, we want to do this, we don't have a laboratory. Putting up a laboratory or putting up a space in a school is quite an expensive thing. But if there is a space in the community, in an organization, then our children will come and do what we are telling them to do here. They can observe, they can try these things, and they can enjoy STEM.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Amen to that. Create those spaces. Karagania, I can MC Karagania, and Dr. Mwanash, I can feel your eyes on my back. I'm not looking that direction at the moment. Mary, can you take like 45 seconds?
Yes.
Promise?
Yes, I'll try to. My message is, of course, to the young people. One, please stay hungry. And then don't look at STEM or space like this awkward, abstract thing out there. Find out your why. Do you know the radio, FM channels that you listen to, the TV, episodes that you watch, the TV signal, the FM signal is actually carried via satellite space.
Wow.
Yeah? So just look at it in terms of the why and then relate it to the social benefits that you actually get. I could give you an example in DRC where there was a surgery that was conducted by local doctors in DRC who are being guided by doctors all the way from abroad, courtesy of satellite space again. So once you start seeing how this integrates in your day-to-day life, then you're definitely going to be inspired to take up the STEM space courses as a means of changing lives. Okay?
Thank you. Stay inquisitive. Dr. Mongera, you have a question to answer and then give your concluding remarks. I hope you remember the question by Colonel.
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
sorry. Yes, so to answer your question, in the government space, I think Dr. Okaya would probably be better able to speak about Semaster because that is the government focus for STEM. I know various government organizations also have budgets. They might not be called directly STEM, but for development of the pipeline and the sector, especially in the energy sector, healthcare, and so on. In private sector, definitely many companies have that. I mean, my colleague Mary here has spoken about their activities. They might not be fully STEM, but focused on the areas of their interest or of their operations. So I think all those areas exist, and I think it leads up to what my parting shot is that it is about collaboration. You know, STEM is such a huge field. All the way from healthcare to road planning to surveying to even a simple quantity surveyor, it is a very big field, and so many organizations have an interest in it. I would say almost every organization has an interest in it. So what Kenya Space Agency has done today is a fantastic example, you know, bringing us together to talk about STEM, inspiring young people. So it's about keeping that momentum going. All these various companies in public sector, private sector, development, education, we all have an interest in growing STEM, so we just need to work more collaboratively together to build that STEM ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our panelists. I'm so sorry I'm not going to take questions because, come on, the eye is coming from the MC, but we'll continue this discussion just, you know, right outside. All the panelists, I'm going to shepherd them outside and we're going to have that discussion. And anybody that might want to join us. Thank you very much. It's been an insightful discussion. Let us continue engaging. We would have said more, we wanted more time, but it's not possible. Other programs have to take over. So as Karagania is coming, I don't think he's so happy. Let the panelists just kindly line up for a photo. We have to do that for like a minute. Cameraman, we are ready for you as Karagania takes over. Thank you very much for your patience, brother.
Let's give them all a round of applause, including Jacques Matara, who was in the unenviable position. One, he had our eyes behind him, he had your bellies in front of him, preventing you from tea, and he had a panel that was very full and very engaging, and students he had to slightly disappoint. A round of applause for the panel again one more time. And just to know that even Jason Oiti, who was on the panel here with his nice robot, is also a mentor from young